have Councilmember Harrington,
Yep.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to look at last meeting's minutes? Any changes, any additions? No?
I have not had a chance to look at them, so, but that's,
Okay. We'll accept those and move on to our first topic, which is 38 Cedar Street.
Oh, you're so wonderful.
Yes,
So kind.
your letter A.
That's nice. You're welcome.
Yes, great. Wasn't me.
I spoke. Are you ready?
I am.
I had spoken to the committee several months ago.
Yes. August.
August. So, and I don't know if you had an opportunity. Again, this has been going on since November 2002. The property is now proposed to be sold to Alan Kleinman of Kleinman Holdings. It's going to be a bargain sale deed. We have no economic interest in the property. We've never had an economic interest in the property. Our interest is getting it out to code.
Right.
And we will be signing to Kleinman Holding, which is the LLC that will own the property.
Mm-hmm.
The current owner, Antonio Ferraro, will deed it together, and the city of Oneonta will sign subject to our requirement that within 18 months it be brought up to code. We're also going to be signing a release that says that we release our lien, and the release will be held in escrow pending the issuance of a CO by code enforcement. So the goal, this will take care of a problem that's been literally going on for almost a quarter century.
Right.
So we want, bring it to council, give the mayor the authority to sign the appropriate transfer documentation, and then we'll go from there. That's it.
Yep. Great. Any questions?
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Sounds
So
straightforward.
if we can bring that to council,
Yes.
that would be great,
We'll do that.
and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Great.
Thank you so much.
So it should be up and running as a property in 18 months. Is that the
Yes.
Stipulation?
The rule is 18 months
18
from
months.
the grant of the deed.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna happen earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there's a deadline, everybody's always concerned, Alan especially,
Right.
to make sure that there isn't something, something happened, another COVID thing, something like that.
Right.
So there is a provision, that says if there's something that's, you wanna get cute, it's force majeure.
Yeah.
Clause
I know
says
that.
if something weird happens, it'll
Yes.
get extended, we will negotiate it, but 18 months, I think it's gonna happen.
It's fine. Yeah. I remember that from our previous conversations.
Did I say force majeure then?
You did. Yeah. Because I remember.
Slip into the legal vernacular.
It's okay. I know it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Our
And we'll see
second.
you today.
Yes. Good night. Our second.
So that'll go on the consent agenda?
Oh yes, we'll move that to the consent agenda for council approval. Our next item is a statement resolution from New York State regarding support for local governments. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the
Yes,
statement.
I did.
And so it's a fairly straightforward request from us. It's just asking the council to support this resolution.
I'll be honest with you, that stuff came so late today, and
You
then I
haven't had a
couldn't get
chance?
into Greg's zip disk, and then I had to wait for the actual stuff to come out. So, I might have questions, just, it's cause I didn't get a chance to get it open, so.
Do you need
No,
it?
Yeah.
You sure? Do you need to
It's
look?
fairly straightforward.
It
We're
is.
asking-
It's a resolution. It doesn't really ask us to do anything other than support the resolution, which is a request to make permanent the funding that the state made available this year.
Okay.
So, and it would be included then in the annual budget for the city. Seems it would be in our interest. Okay, so we'll move that also to the consent agenda. And the next few we have are staffing. Our first appointment is for firefighter. And are there any questions regarding this appointment?
Is this already part of the budget, this position?
There's an indication that it's part of the modified budget. And so it's not, a budget adjustment is not needed. I don't know if Frank-
Right, if you recall our discussions about firefighters and fire department staffing over the summer, we're upstaffed by one because we have one who's, at some point going to retire. But this vacancy came about from one of our firefighters that we hired over the summer has resigned. This is another firefighter or candidate who's on the list, eligible, has passed the civil service exam, is willing to come here, and actually fortunately already has their
So
firefighter
it's
certification.
replacing a
so-
budgeted position.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from anyone? Okay.
No, I support that.
Yeah. The next staffing is the creation of a job title. This is for the finance and IT assistant. And this is the appointment that I think we had a discussion of in council 2 Tuesdays ago regarding sort of modification of a previous job, an additional set of job requirements that include IT. Any issues to raise?
Well, I think I had a concern that we shouldn't do anything like this until after we approve the budget. So I think we should table this.
I don't know if it'd be helpful if Dave Corey's here, if he could just explain what the.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure if it'd be helpful to the committee to hear from Dave Corey, just explain what this is, as far as the civil service side of things.
So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk generally about position classification, because that really is a cornerstone of running a merit system, and running civil service. And a lot of the things that are being discussed around the table with these budget conversations really do boil down to position classification. Like there's a lot of really good ideas and interesting things that are being talked about, like the idea that Scott has of shared administrative specialists and things like that. And that all boils down to that core cornerstone of position classification. And the point, as I lead up to the conversation about specifically Jenny's position, is that I want to make sure that everybody understands that position classification is something that happens every day in the city. Not a single day goes by where I am not having some sort of a conversation or doing some sort of project that is position classification. So generally we're doing that when it comes to vacancies, we're doing it when it comes to new positions, succession planning, career development, desk audits, out-of-title claims, departmental reorganizations, things like that. It's all position classification. So when it comes to vacancies, I went back because I wanted to see how effective are we really being at looking at positions when they're vacated. So I looked at everything that I've looked at in the last 2 years, and there's 10 positions that we looked at that we've looked at in the last 2 years. Ginny's vacancy from Gail's retirement being one of them, and one of them, HR director, reclassified principal human resources specialist. I understand that came with a lot of other stuff too, but that was a downgrade of $15,000 a year. Recreation assistant, when we had that retirement, was reclassified to administrative specialist. That was a savings of $10,500 a year. Assistant to the general supervisor was a retirement we had over the summer. That was a mid-level management position that we reclassified and put in the union and rehired and replaced as a maintenance worker. That was a savings of $24,000 a year. Transit coordinator was a higher level union position that was reclassified to administrative specialist. We saved $12,000 by doing that. And then at the end of 2023, we had the resignation of our deputy public works director, which was obviously a high level position, and we did some reorganization there where we promoted a working supervisor and then backfilled the working supervisor with a maintenance worker. That resulted in a $23,300 savings. So just in the last 2 years, with responsible classification planning, we, the three of us taking part in these types of discussions, have saved the city almost $85,000. So, and then we have a couple of other quick examples where we didn't make any changes. We had a custodian retire. That is the position that is now the maintenance worker that was voted down 2 weeks ago. We reclassified custodian to maintenance worker to help with broadening the duties and making sure that they can do more things. We had a retirement for, in Central Garage as administrative specialist. We kept that the same after looking at it. Code enforcement inspector, we had her retirement, and we kept that as code enforcement inspector. And then we had a vacancy in the police department with the ordinance inspector position, which we commonly think of. That position was responsible for animal control and parking. And we looked very closely at that position and we decided it was in the right title, but we moved it to codes so that they could help with, when there's not a busy parking day, they can help with ordinance inspectors and things like that. So we're always looking, with every time a position vacates, how can we make it more efficient? How can we save the city money? That's part of our standard operating procedures. So that leaves us to the one in the 10 that was an upgraded position, and that is Gail's retirement as an administrative specialist last month, and looking at that as a finance and IT assistant. And so part of the reason that I really believe strongly that we need to upgrade this position is because we have the accountant situation happening in the finance department. And so the majority of the work that is lagging in the finance department is not administrative specialist level work, because we have the accountant vacancy. So we have a need right now to have higher level work being done in that department. And my initial conversation started with, I thought that we needed to reclassify that position as a second finance coordinator in that office. That would have been a cost of about $15,000 for us, and Ginny really didn't feel like she wanted to go that high. So when we started talking about what can we do that is going to help the city, we can, something that we're looking forward to, we're being proactive, we're looking at Tyler Technology, we're looking at how the clerk's office with their IT responsibilities is constantly helping people with really rudimentary things, and they're such a busy office. So that's when we started looking at IT, and we thought, okay, so if Tyler Technology is gonna come around, or whatever's gonna come around that's going to reduce the amount of people coming to City Hall at a window, and we're looking at that seat that was traditionally the person that greeted them at that window, it makes sense that if those people are gonna start interacting through us for technology, that it's that seat that also helps them throughout the technology process. So if we have people that are having trouble paying their bills online, it's that same face, not the same face because it's a new person now, but that same position that's providing that base customer service to our citizens and our employees. That was the mindset of this, and like, the reason I wanted to run through it all is just to point out the fact that with those last 10 classification studies that we've done, even if you include the fact that this one's an upgrade of $8,000, we've saved the city by looking responsibly at position classification 76, almost $77,000 in the last 14 months. And I'm pretty proud of that, actually. I think that we've been very progressive in those spots, and Ginny can't be shorthanded. Whether it's administrative specialist or whether it's a finance and IT assistant, we need to have somebody at that seat in that window. Like, she's already so down. And it's a strain on everybody on the first floor. City Hall is looking, I talked to the codes office, they have more people coming to them looking for why there's no one there, I don't know what the impact is on the clerk's office having that seat vacant, but it's definitely a very difficult impact on Ginny's office. And I see it when I'm participating in the payroll process, because I'm on with her back office staff working on payroll, and every 20 minutes, the bell rang, I have to go up front. So it's interrupting the efficiencies of that office having that seat vacant, and it's an incredibly important seat to have filled one way or the other. But I strongly advocate for this $8,000 increase to this new position, and I would like to see it presented again to the council for a vote.
Great, thank you for that explanation. If I may
Sure.
Sum up, you need someone at the window.
We need someone at the window. Yeah.
So yes, thank you.
Okay.
I don't think we should
Questions?
approve it until after the budget is taken care of.
I don't think that's necessary. We don't have a hiring freeze. And this is a job creation title. This is not hiring somebody at the moment.
Still gonna go approve.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question. You don't want to fill this position. I want you to tell me who you expect to do the work
You're
with.
speaking out of turn, you don't ask me questions.
No, I said she could speak.
Okay, I've already stating my position.
I'm not,
Any-
my vote hasn't changed from when we did it at the council, I'm not supporting it.
Okay,
You can come back after we pass the budget.
So I just, our approach then would be to recruit for an administrative specialist, which is what the current title is, if this position isn't filled, because as Dave was saying, we need to move forward with filling it, just like we just moved forward with filling the firefighter, that's vacant, so, we'd like to fill a finance and recruit and fill a finance IT assistant. If that position doesn't exist, as you're suggesting it shouldn't at this moment, then we would have no choice but to go forward with recruiting an administrative specialist to try to get someone to do the job. We're looking toward the future with the different title, but if we're stuck in the current situation, then that's where our approach would be.
I would still suggest that you wait until after the budget is finalized and then come back and ask for what you want.
To fill existing vacancy, you mean? Would you apply that to all existing vacancies?
because you just voted to
I know what I
fund
voted for.
a firefighter.
I know what I voted for.
Uh-huh.
And I'm saying, I've explained my position, okay?
Yes, sure, you've explained it. Sometimes we have to explain multiple times, as our
Okay.
city staff does every council meeting, so.
I don't think we should do this until after the budget is passed,
Yes, but for the purposes of,
because we
And so
don't know
the-
where we stand
yes,
as
but
far
does
as
that,
the city's
but
finances.
does that position take into account the fact that the office is actually just very practically in need of someone physically at the window? I mean, you just heard Dave speak about how members of the public approach City Hall and don't know where to go, and it takes time away from other departments, Don. It's not efficient to not hire somebody, if that's the concern. So there's just no efficiency in the status quo. Okay, so, you've tapped out of this discussion. I'm actually gonna move it forward. I think this is
Actually,
necessary.
no, you got two people that say no.
Well, as chair, I can move
No,
things
as
to the
chair, you
consent.
cannot.
You
You
didn't-
don't
it
get
didn't
the
pass.
overall say. That's not how it works. It's a committee. The committee has said
Okay.
no. The majority of the committee has said no. to
Okay,
this.
well then I would like it on the record that I don't agree.
That's fine.
Okay. And Dave is not here to ask. Yes.
I have a question. So does that mean we interview for administrative specialist?
That would be the plan going forward. We have a vacant administrative specialist. We have a very dire need in your department. Absent the ability to hire a position in a title that we think is more beneficial, we will see what we can do with administrative specialist. Of course, if this is brought up on the discussion agenda of the council, they can discuss it. I don't know how the finance committee or committee structure is less formal than a council. I'm not gonna wade into that. I guess I would defer to Dave Merzick on that as to whether the committee can send things or not. But ultimately, we need to move
We
forward
have
with
stalled
something.
things in committee before, Greg.
I'm not saying you can. I'm
You-
saying
you've said
I'm not
you've
weighing
said
in on
no
it.
before.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
and quite honestly, to be honest with you, I think when it all got voted down at the council, it shouldn't even be back up here yet. There should have been something, because the council kind of spoke hard on this,
Okay.
so.
Some people on the council spoke hard.
The majority
Some
of
of
the
us did
vote,
not.
the majority of
So,
the vote spoke.
just to be clear.
The majority of the vote spoke. That's what I'm
If you raise
saying.
your voice, Scott, it doesn't drown out what I just said.
Well, stop raising your voice to Don. You've been doing it for like the last couple of weeks. And you're just badgering him about his opinion and wanting more
Scott,
and more
I'd like
and
to
more.
move on now, okay? If there's issues with raising my voice, I'm unclear what you're referring to, and you can come speak to me after a meeting if you're concerned
And
about
don't
it.
come after me, because you just came after me. All I was
Yes,
saying,
because I don't
all I
like the
was
tone.
saying was it doesn't, is the
Scott, there's a
majority vote.
Okay, there's a professional tone that I insist on in any committee meeting.
And can you
And
have
it
it too,
falls
please?
apart in a council meeting. So I want that to be clear, that in fact, there were people who objected during the council meeting to having this ignored. And I object now, as chair. So our next item here is an equipment purchase. enforcement and public works. This is regarding a NYSERDA grant that was granted to us. Are there any questions?
No.
Surprising. Scott, do you have any questions about the NYSERDA grant that was provided?
What, is this for, says heat pump, is this for a particular
So we'd like
building,
to,
or is this that one that we're doing down Main Street?
no, this would be, that's not that, this would be a air source heat pump at the Brenner building. The existing electric radiant heat and floor doesn't work entirely since the 2006 flood, and the existing air conditioner is from 1995. Dave can speak to it as did others who've been in there. I think the council's had a meeting in there that the heating is not that consistent, and there's some areas that don't get much heat at all. Others that maybe get too much. So it's a system that's aging and needed replacement at some point. It wasn't on our plan to do this year, but we have the opportunity through this NYSERDA grant to try to cover hopefully most, if not all, of the cost of that. Then the other piece of this grant would go toward purchasing a replacement for 219, which is the vehicle that the code enforcement office primarily uses. Also sometimes Chris's office, sometimes I've taken it for code inspections and other miscellaneous city business. That's a Jeep right now. We would replace it with something similar, and we're looking to replace it with an electric vehicle. It would be our first electric vehicle the city would own. And again, this is a NYSERDA grant. The reason we're eligible and have received this grant is because we've completed certain what they consider high impact actions. We've documented that. We've sent it in, and they said, "Great job. Here's these first come first served grants that we've gotten in the past. We got $15,000 the council approved to use for the building energy studies, one of which was for the Brenner building, which led to this recommendation to install a heat pump. The other two were City Hall and Public Safety Building. We're not recommending anything related to this grant with those buildings at this time, but that's, obviously those were helpful.
It's more efficient.
Yeah, it's more efficient, and it's something that's at the nearing the end of its life anyway, so it would be good to take advantage of the grant money. There's no required match with the grant, but depending on the total cost of things, there might be a city contribution that we have to come back and talk about later on. So essentially, we're just looking to set up a budget and commit to doing those, putting this money towards those two projects.
Sounds cool. I'm good with it.
So did you say the same grant goes towards the vehicle as well?
Right. Yep.
And how will we charge that? Electric charge, charge the batteries?
We'll plug it in.
No.
We have there's a charging station in D Street lot. It's public, obviously. We would
Right.
set it up so we're not charging, the city's not charging itself to use its own charging station. We can use that one. There'll be new charging stations in the new Market Street parking lot once that's built. We could also set something up.
So you can use the one on Deep Street?
Yeah, we could also set something up at
As
some
long
point
as,
to plug it here.
I forgot about the one on Deep Street, but yeah, as long as you have one, that's what counts, right?
Yeah, and obviously the code vehicle is going around the city. They're not going long distances every day. If there's no concern about the range, I think it's 280 miles or something, Charlie.
Mhm.
280 to 330, 230, depending on.
That's pretty good.
I know, Charlie, thank you for coming. Did you have anything else you want to add as far as our, this will be our first foray into having an electric vehicle?
There's a good chance that we'll have to go out for bid, because the research I did, there's none of them on contract, they just offer a government discount,
Okay.
so that'll probably have to go out to bid when we do get the funding lined up.
Okay. As far as
I'm
mechanics.
surprised the state doesn't have some on state contract.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
This particular type of vehicle, maybe not. Yeah. We'll have to, is there any concern about it, mechanics, learning new technology, that kind of thing?
Well, they're definitely gonna need training, but, we have a Chevy dealer here, we have a Ford dealer here. My guys could do tires, brakes, the mechanical side of it, but the electrical side of it, they're not trained on it.
It's something I mentioned in the memo. I know it hasn't been long since that was sent out. You may not read it all through, but we did, Charlie and I, and Dave Hotailing, and a few other other people were involved, probably Brian, I can't remember everyone who was involved. But we did this little training program that NICEAG put on about 2 years ago now, where we kind of looked at, what what does it look like, the city's transition to electric vehicles, assuming a lot of our fleet eventually is gonna go in that direction. And this was kind of the first one that made sense to us to transition, just because of the type of vehicle it is, how it's used. You're not gonna be making electric fire trucks and DPW dump trucks, that's not the first place you go. So I think
One of
it
the
makes sense.
things with electric vehicles that I've learned is, the tires wear out faster because of the heavy batteries. But other than that, the maintenance is usually minimal, because electric motors simpler than internal combustion.
That's what we're hoping for. We gotta get in somewhere,
Brakes too.
so.
Brakes sometimes wear out a little faster, but mainly tires, I think, which isn't so bad.
Okay, any other comments?
No?
Questions? Okay, so moving on, so we'll move back to the consent agenda, and we'll move on and discuss this equipment purchase for the central garage, the boiler replacement.
So the central garage boiler is no longer working. It's the primary boiler for heating all of central garage. They do have a waste oil furnace that they have supplement heat, but it alone cannot heat that area. So we replaced the boiler completely. Existing boiler is not repairable, and the cost that we've been quoted is $50,282.
The
What
boiler
was it,
operates
200?
with floor heat. Right now, there's no heat in the offices, the break room, or the bathrooms.
What was the price, Chris?
$50,282.
How
That's
can
worth
the
500,000
ice don't
BTU
freeze?
unit.
Ouch.
Any other questions?
No.
Scott, any other questions?
No, we gotta get them heat. Especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Colder.
Okay, so our next item is the used ladder truck for the fire department. And this is in addition to, well, it's sort of holding
So,
truck before the Quint comes in.
yeah, Cooperstown Fire Department just received a new ladder truck,
Mhm.
and their old one is up for sale.
Mhm.
So, we had got it down here, Charlie, I looked at it, we had the company that does our pump testing and some of the ladder work, come and go through with a fine tooth comb to see what it would cost to get it to where it needs to be, to where it's 100%. I added some of those quotes to you, I wanna say it was 79,000 or 69,000.
69, about 70.
Yeah, so the asking price for the truck was 89,000. So trying to come up with a number to where I could bring to you guys, I asked the Cooperstown Fire Chief if they would accept $20,000 because of all the repairs that it needed. The Village of Cooperstown declined that. So I'm here, just seeing if you guys think that you'd be
understand that, so you said this might be $89,000, something like that.
The asking price was $89,000, so what I tried to do was take the, estimate for,
Yeah, but that wasn't actually my question. So would this be in this year's budget, next year's budget? How does this work?
This would be something that would be funded from the public safety reserve. I didn't write down the current balance of that, I could look it up, but it's got 800,000, something like that, Jenny, if I recall correctly.
I don't have the number.
So essentially, whether it happens in this year, in 2024 or 2025, it would be a budget amendment to take additional funding from the reserve. The thought that should go through your heads, and if we go up to council and discuss there, is like, well, how much do we feel is worth taking out of that reserve to spend on this to basically reduce our risk? Like, we have a ladder truck, but it has problems, and the next, as you just explained, this would give us a second ladder that would help cover in the event that we have something down or need it. So what is the risk worth it to you? So if you pay $20,000, if you pay $90,000 total for the repairs and purchasing the truck, that would be $90,000 over 4 years, plus any other operation and maintenance costs that come up. But Village of Cooperstown has said they're not gonna accept $21,000. So how much more are we willing to spend to have this added or reduce risk, I guess, is the way to look at it, right, Brian?
So I would recommend we put it on the discussion agenda so the council can consider it. It seems reasonable, but only the council should discuss it too.
Charlie, do you have something?
Yeah, I would have to take into effect that the engines that we have now are older and tougher to get parts for them. Like that truck, they had to build that part because they no longer produce them. Other than when somebody's in dire need, it's not something you could go to a shelf and buy. And it takes time to keep all these fire trucks up. A lot of it's the parts availability.
Yeah, no, I understand. All I'm saying is, I think, put it on the discussion agenda rather than the consent agenda, so everybody has a chance to understand it.
Well, I mean, that's fine. I think it sounds as if it's a bit up in the air, just even as a position of sale. I mean, it's an odd kind of, because they haven't come back to you with anything, so it's sort
I
of
mean, if
odd.
you guys are willing to take it up to the council level and press them harder, like, what's the price that's gonna get this done?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
I've tried to,
I think that we should wait until there's a counter offer, and then we can go and find out,
Well, I think
and
that's-
then we can
yeah.
say to the council, okay, this is gonna be the purchase price, and there's gonna be more details. Right now, it's fuzzy.
No, I agree. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing kind of what else, you want it on the discussion and have it pushed?
No, I
to
didn't say
that?
we should have it. Don did, and what I'm
Oh.
saying is because the sale is not, there's no counter offer. So it's fuzzy in terms of what the city will actually be asking for,
Okay.
or what the fire department will be asking for from the council. So I think we should get the terms of the sale more clear before we pass it up to the council. So we can have an actual number that we're asking council to approve. Yeah.
Chief, do you know if the Cooperstown's gonna put it up for public auction?
I do not know. I know it's been for sale for a while, and if we were to give it back, they were gonna do something else, so, but I don't know what it was.
If they do put it up for public auction, then we can bid on it.
So that's not clear either, right? In terms of, yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been able to get a straight answer, so I will try to work at that.
Yeah. I think it's good that we're aware of this. I mean, it sounds like a necessary item. It just sounds like the terms of this negotiation are still being decided.
So I'm gonna look at this as a different way, and I'm only one vote here, but I've been through a partial block fire, I know Brian has been, on the backside of 189 Main Street up on that road. I also remember the Dark Horse fire. I remember right after that Dark Horse fire, the city ran right out and grabbed Old Engine 33, which was a secondary truck. And I just look at it this way, if Street gets in looking at it and the current state of one of the buildings on there that we've been going around and around with. Safety wise and how close those buildings are. I would like to see if we did sit there and say, hey, we're looking at, we are interested in this, let's work on getting this deal done. At least tell the chief to tell them that, yes, we are interested, we wanna get this deal done. Maybe we get the counter offer and everything done, and then we can get on the discussion agenda for Tuesday.
What was that last sentence?
That if he can push them and get some type of counter offer, whatever, because they know that we're serious, then maybe we can have it on the discussions, get it to the discussion agenda for Tuesday, like leave it open. If they don't come back to them, then it doesn't come up to us on the discussion.
Is that okay to you, Regina?
I mean, what do you need from us, do you think? What would you like to have happen here?
I was looking for your general support
Uh-huh.
of the concept.
Uh-huh.
So that I could then
Go
push them
forward
for
with it.
a number, like what's gonna get this deal done.
Okay. So what we could do is, what is needed is authorization for this public safety reserve
Okay.
from the council, right? And so that would need us to move this up to council for discussion.
That's what I had
And
suggested.
authorization. But I wanted to just put forward that the terms, in terms of the necessary funds, it's all kind of amorphous and not clear at the moment. So I just wanted to make sure that there's clarity around this funding. And so that was why I thought, maybe not for Tuesday's council meeting, but once we have a definite number, we could then, in the finance committee, have a discussion about that number and then move it to
So
authorization.
I thought you needed
Council.
the council to support it, not, but if it's this is the general support of us, I think you have it.
Yes.
So I misunderstood, so that's,
Yeah.
my apologies on being.
Yeah, it's just, so,
I mean, if there's any feedback from this committee or from the council as to if you have a number in mind, like, $20,000 and $70,000 for the repairs, or maybe we can, bring that down a little bit depending on what we can do in-house versus contracted. Does that seem like a reasonable amount to take out of the reserve for this? And if it does, then how much more might be reasonable? Or, if we pay $90,000, what they're asking for it, plus $70,000 of repairs, is that a reasonable amount? In our discussions, we think probably not. But, just trying to get a sense of, for Brian to go back and talk with the fire chief from Cooperstown, what we might be willing to go up to. I mean, we can come back with a number that is agreeable to both parties and see where it falls with council, but we're just looking for some feedback.
yeah, I mean, it's just kind of shocking that they're asking this amount, but it actually requires $70,000 in repairs. I mean, it just seems like this is really kind of, surprising, I guess. And then that they didn't get back to you with your offer, it just seems,
Well, I mean, they got back to us, they just said no
okay.
to the.
But they didn't counter offer, is my point.
Correct.
Right, so they didn't say, let's figure this out. I guess we could have a council discussion about this, in terms of what we're comfortable with as a council authorizing. It just seemed like a little fuzzy, but.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what they're asking for versus the amount of repairs, so I can't answer for them.
So-
Before, not comfortable for
The
us.
cost estimate is $89,000. The amount of repairs is over $69,000.
It's a lot of money, but.
That's why we offered, I
Yeah.
forwarded the 20,000.
Right.
So they would, was minus their asking price for the repairs.
We don't know what's in reserve yet, right? That's what you said earlier.
I know downstairs.
I can check.
I don't want anybody run around or anything, I was just,
I can check really quick.
So I think the question is.
whatever you guys decide, I'm comfortable whatever you guys decide, as long as we can give him the sense of direction, hey, still negotiate,
Yeah,
because I guess that's what he really needs, right?
to get,
Yeah,
he
so I
needs-
misunderstood
yeah.
what he was asking for,
Yeah.
so.
It's we need eventually, either this week or the next time we meet as a council, authorization for the public to draw from the public safety reserve. So it's just when the timing of that and when the amount.
As of June 30th, this is from Jimmy's memo, over the summer, I don't think we've taken any more out of the public safety reserve since then, so we've got just over 1,062,000.
Greg, do you have the 25 budget there? It's in the top 25 budget.
I don't have that right here.
Because I know the police cars are in there, and I think you gave the things in there.
Oh, that. Sorry, I do have that.
I mean, I get, I don't really feel it, but I don't think we need that information tonight. I think that's what's in the reserve for tonight. It's,
Yeah, so let's say we have 1,062,000, we're gonna spend 390,000 in 2025, to Jim's point, based on our draft budget right now, so we'd be going down pretty significantly, as planned.
I'm fine, to follow Don's point. I guess I could go either way either. Again, do you need authorization now? Would that be preferable to have authorization from the council now, earlier rather than later for this deal, or?
I think the earlier the better.
Okay, then that's the answer. Then we'll move this to the discussion agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we have a couple of contract approvals here. We have, one is for, let's see, Medicare.
Yeah. This is the renewal of our 65-plus health insurance plan, so retirees who are 65 years old or older are on this plan.
Oh, there it is, yeah. Okay, so, we should move this to the discussion agenda, I think. Although we can review this here. Are there any questions about?
You know, if we have to do this, I guess,
Yeah, I don't know, Jenny, you
Either way is fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jenny?
So the 65 plus plan premiums are in the 2025 budget already. And as I said in the budget presentation, the rates went up over 48%. The next one is also the dental insurance, which the uniform personnel uses. That was a 3% increase. So what the council needs to do is approve the renewal rates. The renewal rates for the active and retirees that are under 65 that are covered by Excellus Blue Cross is under the consortium. The council, because we are members of the consortium now, the council does not have to vote on approving those rates. Because that is a consortium calculation.
Okay.
But this is a contract that we need permission to sign. So that's why it has to be council.
And it is included already in the 2025.
It's already in the 2025 budget.
Okay.
contracts can go on consent agenda, can't they?
Oh, sure. But I just didn't know if you wanted, in the context of the budget, to talk more about this. We wanted to.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we?
What's that?
What are you
Oh,
agreeing
no,
to?
you said,
I thought maybe there would be, in the context of the budget, reason to discuss this further, but we've gotten information already,
We've got information, and
previous.
our health insurance consultant already went out to bid for these
Mhm.
premiums, and these are the premiums that were the lowest in the best interest of the current coverage that we have.
Mhm.
So that's why we're bringing this forward.
Okay.
I mean, not to say that there isn't much of another option, like Jenny said, you know, the competitive bidding has been done. You know, this is the plan that we offer, and,
yeah.
you know, I think this is
Yes,
the best.
Cecilia, whatever you prefer, if discussion agenda or the consent agenda, I'm
Yeah,
fine with
okay.
either one.
I could go either way. I think kind of, they already did the label,
Yeah,
I think it's just gonna get signed, but.
Let's go to consent. Yes, I agree. We'll move that to the consent agenda.
And the same thing with the dental?
Let's see here.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same concept with the dental, as I said.
Yes.
The current
Is that
dental,
together?
current dental and insurance that we have, uniform
Oh,
personnel
yes.
has coverage under Excellus Dental Blue, and the CSEA has it under the CSEA Employee Benefits Fund. And but those rates they don't come due again until July. So as of January 1st, it's the Excellus Dental
that's the second contract approval that we're looking at, which is the dental. Yeah, so we could move that also to the consent agenda as well. Yeah.
And just so you know, in the future, our health insurance consultant is looking at a different dental plan that provides better benefits at a lower cost, but we're not there to bring it to the unions again, because all of these plans are in the union contract, so it would require a change in the contract and all the unions to be on board. We just have not had the opportunity or the time to bring it forward to them yet. Nor have we analyzed coverage to coverage in detail yet, but that may be coming in the future.
So the last contract approval is for the uniform and linen rental. And that is to provide rental and cleaning for DPW and the central garage staff. And then also to provide floor mats throughout city buildings. I think we can move, are there any questions about this?
Sorry, is on what one?
This is
The uniform.
this is the
J.
third contract
J.
approval.
Oh,
It's
geez,
J.
yes, sorry.
Uniform cleaning, it's just a contract renewal.
Yeah, we're,
Yep. Any questions about that?
Can I bring up the change?
Yeah.
Okay, there's gonna be a change in this contract. Currently, the current vendor that we have provides, washing of the fire department's sheets and pillowcases and towels. But to save approximately $1,000 a year on that service, and also this particular vendor that we're presenting for approval is a savings of $7,000 per year on the contract. We're going to be getting a washer and dryer for the fire department, and we've already discussed it with the fire chief, and they'll be laundering their sheets and towels and pillowcases, on their own schedule. He's asked for that in the past, so we're now going to make that change.
Any further? Okay. Then we'll move to, we've got two items left, and that is one is the capital improvement project, and that is for the stage.
Right, so this is the Al Galador Memorial Stage in Muller Plaza and Muller Plaza electrical improvements. So we've talked quite a bit about this over the summer of the last year or so, year and a half. We have spent just under $15,000 on engineering for this project, and the architectural design was donated to the city by Kevin Wood. That team put together the bid package. We had 3 bids received. The low bid, Eastman Associates, for the total project was $361,354.
How much was that?
$361,000 and change.
And this is to build it?
So 277,000 of that is for the construction of the stage itself. 53,750 is for the electrical replacement in the plaza, and then that bid also includes a built-in $30,000 contingency in case there are things that come up that were unanticipated. So hopefully we wouldn't spend any or most of that, but that's something that's included in that total $361,000.
anyway, how much for funding?
We have remaining in ARPA $254,873.43. And obviously we would use all of that on this project. The balance of just over $106,480 could be taken from either the Parks and Recreation Reserve, which has a current balance, I believe, of just about $122,000, or it could be taken from unrestricted fund balance in the general fund, which obviously is being discussing as a
How much is it
separate.
just for the stage?
The stage,
You mean the
Just
whole
the-
infrastructure?
Yeah, just-
That's the 277.
277.
obviously the contingency could be used for wherever it may be
So
needed.
it's the equivalent to the amount that's left in ARPA.
A little bit more, yeah.
A little bit more.
Contingencies if we run into unforeseen conditions, unknowns in the ground, soil, asbestos pipe, lead, buried tanks, et cetera. That's why we have that.
God, I don't know what to do with this one. This one we knew it would probably come over a bit. I didn't think it would come over that much.
Our estimate was about $300,000. obviously, if you assume we don't spend the contingency, it's not way out of line. The other bids were quite a bit higher. We had a $700,000 bid, and I forget the second. So I think we think this is a reasonable price, given the estimate and what things cost.
One thing I do wanna mention, Greg, is whether the stage is done or not, the electrical has to be done, which was
53,750, take 55.
we have all kinds of issues. So the price seemed a little higher because the electrical was included in it. But that
It just, yeah, it made sense if we're gonna do excavation and a construction project in the plaza. We have these issues where we're crossing our fingers every December, hoping that the Christmas lights come on. You know, we have
Get
other.
the generator out.
Yeah, so it makes sense if you're gonna provide for a nice public space in the middle of downtown that is Muller Plaza and enhance it, that we make sure it all works properly, so.
Any comments or questions? I think this should obviously move to discussion,
Yeah.
because it involves the ARPA funding. And there's been, extensive discussion in council about ARPA, so we need to, I think, make this clear for everybody. Just a quick question about the images. Where did these, what's the context for these in terms of like, this is just giving us a sense of the design
So that was
with
prepared
people?
That was prepared by the architect that Kevin Wood had hired.
Oh, okay.
Before. Those
Okay.
are just renderings that he prepared.
Okay.
To kind of give a visual what it might look
Yeah, they're actually better, I think, than the previous that we've seen.
Okay.
So I appreciate them. Thank you. Any questions about this? Is
I know
there-
the electric work has to be done, and the
Well,
stage is
that's-
very expensive.
Yes, well, this is what I was gonna,
What can I say?
yes, so what I was gonna say is, if we could put forward the suggestion that maybe could we get for the discussion agenda, something for the stage and something separate for the electrical?
So the way that formal bidding works, so the base bid was the stage and the electric work,
I see.
and then their contingency is built in. We have, oh, I'm sorry, was the electric?
Electric
The
was
base
an
bid,
alternate.
the base bid was just the stage.
Okay.
So that 277, that's why we know that number is 277. One of the alternates was a deduct on the type of material used, type of metal used. That's one thing. And the other alternate was the addition of the work in the plaza, the electrical work. So we do know the difference in costs. The way it was bid, we could not go forward with just the electrical based on this bid. If we decided not to go forward with something, we'd have to do a separate
I see,
bid for
okay.
that. And likely it would be more expensive just because the mobilization between the two is lumped together now.
I was just making the statement that
Yeah.
it has to be done.
Yes. Yeah, if we opted not to go forward with the project, you'd still have electric that is suspect.
Yeah, it
Yes.
needs attending to.
That'd be
Yeah.
pretty embarrassing the first time you go to strum the guitar, everything goes black.
So, as I said, I propose we move this to the discussion agenda for council, and then our last addition, let's see here, we have, I think it's a approval,
Yeah, this is the Parks and
oh, Parks and
Recreation Commission, a
right.
recent vacancy due to a resignation from that commission, so there's an unexpired term that needs to be filled, and the mayor has suggested Max Wright to fill that role. You'll remember Max from the skate park and pump track presentation. He's a city resident.
Any kind of questions before we, Scott, anything?
Can that go on consent agenda?
Yeah, that's what I'm intending.
Yeah.
So we'll move the appointment to consent agenda, and that should be all the items for tonight unless there's something else. Is there anything else to discuss?
No.
Any other topics? Okay. In that case, then I propose we adjourn for the evening at
Under an hour?
6:56.